If you've been keeping an eye on national news headlines about what is going on in the real estate market, I have a surprise for you. In today's video, I'm going to walk you through exactly what happened in the month of January so that you can see how things are trending specifically here in the Ocean City market. Let's dive in. If this is the first market update that you have seen me do, I'm going to start with a little bit about where we came from, go through where we have been recently, and also project out where I think we're going based off the data, as well as some anecdotal evidence based on what I'm seeing here live, boots on the ground. So with that out of the way, we know that mortgage rates have been all over the place, right? They skyrocketed through the bulk of 2022 before coming down in the end of 2022. And where we ended in January is yet another step down into the fives, believe it or not. And that all of a sudden seems like a relief, even though just last year we were in the low threes at this point. So with that aside, if you did see my projections video for 2023, one of the huge things that I was keeping an eye on was how interest rates were going to fluctuate throughout the year. So they started low. It's keeping demand very, very hot. So inventory ended at 270, up a little bit from December. Nothing crazy, and that is normal for this time of year. This is when listings start to hit the market. Demand starts to pick up a little bit after the Super Bowl. But honestly, demand has been hotter than I expected in the month of January. And we'll see that in some of the graphs that we're going to go through here in a second. Days on market started to increase specifically for single family homes over the last few months, but it appears that they're stabilizing again. And as for prices, again, we're still up substantially year over year for single family homes, still another 7% in the condo world, which all of a sudden, again, feels like it's not that much. But if you would have had that happen in a normal pre-pandemic year, that would have been a very, very strong year. So let's dive into the visuals for you. As I thought, we wouldn't see the same increase we normally see in the month of January when we have usually a slow month in December, followed by a much busier month in January. As you can see over here to the right, we actually had a decrease in pending sales for the first time over the last 3 years. That is partially due to the unusual spike that we had in December. Again, this doesn't look like much of a spike, but if you look previously over this way, you'll see that December is always a drop off from November, and then we see our January spike. But again, that didn't happen. But again, that doesn't have as much to do with January demand as it does with what happened in December. As for closings, vice versa, right? We normally do have a pretty decent decrease in the month of January. It wasn't as much because of what had happened over the previous months. So with the single family world, and here's where, again, we're going to start to see some more deviation, but they're going to coalesce with the condos in a very important metric we'll get to in a second. Inventory took a big dive, again, based on what happened in December. But again, we're on a relatively upward trajectory. We have way more single family homes than can be consumed if the demand were to stay at the same rate, right? It would take 8 months to get them all off the market. That has a lot to do with the price point. Again, the price points on these single families continue to climb as new construction continues to own the single family market, with well over 40%, even 50% of all homes on the market being new construction. So this does mean that if you're looking for a single family home, you may have some more leverage than you might think. As for prices, this is a big one, right? Over the past 4 months, they've been relatively stable, right? A little blip here and there, but this could be a sign that we have truly found our balance here in Ocean City. If demand picked back up drastically, that would change. If supply picks back up or drops substantially, that could change. So it is a very touchy scenario to be in, just based on the volume that we have going on in the single family market, usually being in the low to mid double digits per month. But it's something to know that, again, we're not necessarily seeing the drastic increases that we got so used to as the graph shows. And again, days on market here, you can see stabilized over the past 2 months, which should be about where we stay. As for condos, the graph looks very, very similar, right, to what we just saw in the single family months of inventory, where we had a dip in December, back up in the month of January. But the difference is that we are still well below what is a neutral market, being 6 months of inventory. So still just above 4. The condo market is still very much in the seller's favor. There are a lot of properties that are out there and have been out there for a while, but the condition, the price, the location, there's something just a little bit wrong with almost all of them that continues to keep that a hot market. And when a new listing hits, it still can be jumped on. I had 2 different multi-offer situations on condos in the month of January alone. I thought we were done with those, but we're certainly not. One of those happened within the first 24 hours. The other was within the first 3 days. So still a very hot condo market here. And again, with the prices, those last 4 months look, again, very similar to what we saw with the single family space. So you can make the case that prices have stabilized and that we have found our new normal, barring any massive changes, right? That could be to demand, that could be to supply. But one of the main drivers is always going to be what is happening with the mortgage rates. If we go back up into the 6s and 7s, we're going to see demand slide. That doesn't necessarily push more supply. It actually will probably withhold more supply and keep things, again, from really drastically changing too high or too low. So we're in a very stable place. Days on market support that. Again, consistently low, still below 40 days on market. Now, for where we're going, this is the big stuff that everybody always wants to know. These are just my projections, my opinion based on the data, nothing more, nothing less. With mortgage rates, I don't expect to see any huge deviations here, right? We've consistently been on a downward trend over the past 4 months with rates. I don't think we're going to drop to 4% overnight, right? I don't think we're going to shoot back up to 7% overnight. I think we're going to stay around the 6-year time frame, or 6% time frame, I should say, until we really see how inflation continues to play out. The Fed will likely raise their prime rate again. I can't be clear enough here. That does not mean that mortgage rates are going to increase, right? If the Fed moves their prime rate up, that may have an impact on mortgage rates, but the investor market, the side that we don't see, is going to be what has the major impact on those mortgage rates. For inventory, again, we're still seeing a decent amount hitting here and there. We're not going to see a flood of inventory. If it was going to happen, we likely already would have seen the start of it, and that simply isn't the case. Compared to where we were last year, we're still well above about 35% more than we had on the market last year at this time. But again, demand is still very, very hot. Now, one of the things that I want to point out here, since the peak in October, when we had 308 total active listings, we're down 14%. And, again, it says clear as day. I've been very consistent with this. I think prices are going to stay sticky, especially through the spring and summer. There's a chance, right, with my prediction that I think prices will fall about 5% by the end of the year. I pack that into the rear half of the year. There's a lot that can play out over the coming months, but ultimately, if there's going to be any price decreases, it's going to happen in the latter half of the year in the fall. And as for prices, again, inventory continues to be very consistent in the single family world in terms of number, right? Sheer volume, we're still around 90, and we've been there for the last several months. And as for condos, there's going to be some opportunities, but ultimately, right, the values are going to be on homes that need updating. And I know that a lot of people don't want to get into that, but this is the time of year where you actually have time to plan and get things updated before the summer season hits. So over the next 30 to 45 days, I would expect that there are going to be some opportunities out there for homes that need, again, a little bit or a lot of updating. That's where the value is going to be. And you need to find a way to, I won't say avoid the competition entirely, right? But you don't want to find yourself in the situation where we've been for the past 2 years. With that said, speed is still absolutely everything. That one multi-offer situation that I said happened within 24 hours, the fact that I even got our offer submitted was a little bit of a miracle. The first buyer did not even come down. It was a sight unseen offer. My clients came down first thing the next morning. We saw it, we got our offer in, and ultimately we were just a hair behind. But still, speed is everything. This is still a market where you want to stay on top of everything, but you have a life ahead of you, right? You have kids, you have family, you have a job, you have sports, whatever it is that occupies your time. Your full-time job cannot be to stay up to date on the market here and keep an eye on every listing that hits. That's what I'm here for. So if you are in the market at this point or you're considering it, reach out to me, right? There's going to be a link down in the description here that will bring you to a sheet where you can fill out a little bit about what you're looking for. And from there, I will be your eyes and ears, boots on the ground, informing you of when those new properties hit the market, and you will get an update right away. And that wraps up our February 2023 market update. If you found this helpful, do me a favor and hit that thumbs up down below and hit subscribe as well if you haven't already. That helps YouTube spread my message to more people who could find this valuable. And that's what my goal is. That's why I do this, is to help you make better decisions. So thanks again for hanging out with me, and I will see you on the next video.